Hey guys, thanks for joining me. And if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Hello, peoples. Are you a glutton for punishment like me? Well, then maybe you have tried to open up a smock before and done maintenance on it or whatever. This thing has so many small parts. I've taken it apart now 3 times in the last 3 months trying to get these Metonboss scales on. And the first time I opened up this box, I got bug out scales. And then I had and the shipping originally took like a month to get the wrong scales from Metonboss. I don't think it was his fault. I think it was just, the mail service in this day and age, right? Finally, I sent him back and I didn't want them. He offered them to me for 50% off. And I said, no, I don't want them. I'm sorry. Uh, and I understand why, because once you open these up and start touching them, I mean, they're just so beautiful that once you get grease on it, you don't necessarily want to resell it. You're going to lose money anyway. It's hard to ship and blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Another month goes by. I get them and I finally start putting it back together, take it apart again. And then I realize I have the wrong size pivot. These are only work with the old pivot screws. So I had to buy these stupid pivot screws and pay for shipping. Whole thing was a mess. Is it clearly labeled on the website? And it is. If I had paid more closer attention, I would have realized that these nice big pivots would not work on that and blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, as part of the other videos that I made, I also changed out this clip, right? And I didn't end up including that in the video. And I also changed out the bearings to skiff bearings, which are very nice. Taking them apart, what I also discovered is that there's a little detent ball in there that is extraordinarily small. It's like the size of a bearing, but like half the size of the bearing that you would ever expect. And there's a little spring that has to sit in there. So putting this thing back together again, even though this is a compression lock, and compression lock should be the easiest knives in the world to take apart, put back together again. Even so, um, it is exceedingly hard to do. So I'm going to take this apart. My opinion on this is that if you're attempting to take apart a smock, make sure this isn't the first knife you've ever taken apart, because it is going to be hard. I've taken apart some of the hardest knives that there is to take apart. By that, I mean things like the Winter Blade Co. and changing out the detent magnets, which was, one of the hardest videos I've ever filmed in my life. Um, so I know what I'm talking about. And this is right up there with it. It is a big old pain in the butt. These clips here, the hidden screw clips, are from Lynch Clip for Spyderco knives. Very cool company. I also got my skiff bearings from him at the same time. I know that I'm going to need to take this off because I want to change out the scale. So, taking this all off, and you'll see how that works. Like it is a mounting bracket for the clip, right? So this is going to be a long video. I would guess that it's going to come in at 20 minutes. So grab a beer, go ahead and click like, subscribe if you haven't. And as always, thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are the best. Every month I give away a knife for free. For my Patreon supporters, I should say. And it's $3 a month if you want to help make this content. This video in particular is going to get like zero, well, not zero, but, disassembly videos are not the most popular on the algorithm. I do this because I like to do it. And, hopefully it will help someone out there. And I do get videos on my other disassembly videos. Oh my God, thank you so much for doing that. It made it so much easier. And that makes me feel good about life. This pivot is not free spinning. There is a screw that comes in from each side on Spyderco's, but the pivot itself is not free spinning. So when you take this apart, this is the part that you have to be really, really careful about. You do not want to accidentally lose the screw, the bearing, and the spring. So I did this kind of backwards, honestly. I usually do it the other way. The lanyard tube right now is really tight on the inside liner scale, so you just have to be really careful. This smock, by the way, Uh, this is called the Stormtrooper edition. And so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there who are upset that I'm changing the scales out on this because they think that the way it is made right now is perfect. And, I get you. But Spydercos for me are about changing things up. That's what I like to do with Spydercos. And, oh, see, so that bearing, which you probably can't even see, fell out. Luckily, it didn't go anywhere. And this miniature tiny spring, oh, gosh, thank God I didn't lose it. All right, so there's that spring, and there is that tiny little bearing. It goes in. Where's that little hole? And it looks like I put way too much grease on there last time I did this too. Um, it goes in this little spot inside. Oopa, that pin just fell out. So putting this back together, you got to be really careful. You cannot lose this ball. I'm going to put that right there. And what I'm actually going to do is I have a little flashlight here with a magnet. I'm going to put both of those on my magnet there so that I don't lose them. And I'm going to put that right there. So I don't want them to roll away. If you have a magnet, sometimes it's the best thing to do. Because these screw heads, these aren't going to roll away. I just have to keep them in the order that I took them out, right? All right. So, next, we need to go ahead and take the other side. This lanyard tube is still holding on this scale here. These back spacers are also D-shaped so that they are not free spinning, which is great. And I'm working away from the pivot, so I'm putting like my pivot right here. That's the stop pin. Then I'm putting the screws in order over here. And I know that this side here is going to be the show scale side. I usually start with the show scale side, but it doesn't necessarily matter. All right, so getting this off of here is going to be a little tricky. I'm going to open up this knife. This should make it a little bit easier. And then I'm going to go ahead and take out this other pivot on the other side. And like I said, it's not going to free spin because the pivot is threaded to go in from both sides. Not only that, it's got a little D shape to it. And now this knife should be ready to fall apart. The compression lock on the Smock is absolutely awesome. And here you can see I've got the nice little bearing here, right? Do you see that's the skiff bearing. You can see how many extra little bearings it has in it compared to the usual one. I think I saw yeah, here. This is a regular bearing here that comes with it, and it was actually fine. I don't think that it was much of an upgrade. But if you want to upgrade it, you would just change them out, and you can see how many more bearings that has. So, in theory, it's going to run smoother, nicer. All right. So now we need to put this back together again. And this is going to be the tricky part. Now, I just took this apart and cleaned everything out and put grease on it and everything else. So I really don't think that I'm going to need too much. Oof, there it is. Okay, there's the other one. It's like, where did it go? There it is. All right. So I just need to take off this other white scale here and get it together. Yeah, so putting too much grease is a bad thing. Also, you don't want to have any grease on the face of the lock. You don't want to grease the face between the lock, this part right here, and the blade, back of the blade where it engages. That will cause lock stick eventually because the grease will pick up some crud, and then it'll eventually just when you go to unlock it, it just won't do a very good job unlocking. All right, so there's that part. Great, great. Let's get the right scale here. And now the tube with this Metonboss guy is not needed. So this tube comes out. This does not go through the scale. All right. And then I guess I could, if I wanted to. Do I want to do that? Do I want to go ahead and put these on? All right, the bearing came off. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and put on this black hardware next. I knew that the pivot and the thing would fall off if I turned it over, but I did it anyway. This will just be easier to keep everything in line if I just go ahead and attach the scale to the liner right now. And I do like this black hardware that comes with it, or that came with the original. I think it's going to look good. Unfortunately, the new pivot bolts that I got to replace are silver, so that is going to, in my opinion, look a little awkward. I'm not going to worry about, like I said, I'm not going to worry about cleaning these with alcohol and stuff, but this is the point where I would take these bearings and I would go ahead and wash them with alcohol, and I would do both of the faces, and then I'd put a little bit of grease on there. I'm not going to do it, however, because I don't want to, because I don't need to. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the next steps, and I'm wondering if I really should have done this the opposite way, because the reason why I think I might have needed to do it the opposite way is I'm just going to go ahead and attach this on right now using the, well, no, I can't do that right now. Yeah, all right. So I think I need to build this knife the opposite direction. And the reason why I say that is because now that spring and the little ball bearing, which are loose, need to go in this little hole, and the scale holds it in. And I can't flip it upside down. So I need to build from this side up. And that's why I usually start from the show side and work down. So I've just taken this little spring, and now I need to put that little spring in this little hole. You know what? I'm not going to be stupid about it. I'm going to try to not be stupid about this. I am still stupid. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this trick, which I just showed you right over here with attaching the scale. But instead of that, I'm going to put these on the other side so that that is all together on the other one. And then I'm going to build it up from that side. So I'm going to take out these two dudes, and then I'm going to put them over here. And again, you have to get the D shape of these guys in there perfectly in the liner. And it'll only fit in one direction. Like, I have to turn it as I'm putting it in. Yeah, because this hole has a slight D cut out to it. It's not an actual hole, it's a D. And I can look over here and see on my backspacer where that groove is so that I can try to predict. Although, I should have warned my readers. I'm getting old, people. Getting old. I hope you guys took me up on my offer to get a drink before you watch this. This is definitely the annoying part. Sometimes when I do these disassembly videos, I kind of just stop talking, and then I go to fast forward mode when I put things together. But this was so hard to take apart and put together that I didn't think that that was appropriate. Excuse me. I just paused it there to see what was going on. So that D-shaped indentation only on the backspacer hat is directional as well. It only goes on one side of the liners. The other side of the liners is actually circular. So if you're trying to put in the circle part into the D-shaped, it's obviously not going to work. And that's what was happening. So now I'm going to put 2 fingers here on the spacers and flip it over. And then I'm going to take my spacer screws and put it on from this side. He says, hopefully. All of my bits and tools and everything that I'm using here, I use Weehaw. Is that how you pronounce it? bits and fasteners, and I also have a couple of tools for my fix-it from when I fixed my phones. So like that squeegee tool I use to pry things open with, that happens to be an iFixit tool. But all of that stuff is listed below, and any of the Amazon links in my profile or in my description down below, those are actually associated links. So I do get paid a very small fee if you happen to buy through that. Just buyer beware. You don't have to, obviously. All right. So now we've built that up, and now we have the little hole here for the spring, and so that little spring and that little ball are going to come out of this side, and this happens to be the clip side. Okay, so when you're taking this knife apart, you might want to do it with a show scale side up, so that that little bit doesn't accidentally fall off on you. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and get that, and I put that on the magnet. So I'm taking the spring off first, and the spring here goes in this little hole. Oh man, it's gonna suck if I get this thing almost back together, and then after, that bearing went shooting over there. All right, pausing it, found it. Oh, and I dropped it in perfectly. Wow, that's never gonna happen again. That was incredible. All right, so I'm gonna take the pivot out, turn it over, and this pivot is fully D-shaped. I'm going to put it in here, and then I'm going to take a bearing. This side looks really dry. The other side looks really wet. So I'm just going to put one single drop of pivot lube. I'm going to use JPL light pivot lube here. One single drop there. And drop this guy on my skiff bearing. All right. And I'm just going to put the smallest drop on top of the bearing as well. This is where things get tricky, and he hopes he doesn't forget a step, he says, with much hope in his heart. All right, and now we've got this spacer, and this spacer needs to go here. Spacer is D-shaped as well. Here it is. Okay, so yeah, this spacer here is D-shaped, and it goes in from this side over here. So friction should hold that in, but just be careful because it only fits in there, okay? And it's on the show scale side. And now I'm going to put the blade on top, and the blade, then you can see the track that that little ball is starting to make, and it sits in that hole there, and you can see my bearing there. I think the bearing will just hold, oh, he said, and turned out to be not true. All right, so I need to go ahead and put this on first without knocking the bearing and the ball bearing and the spring out of there. Get on really carefully, and hopefully it goes on. Yeah, all right. And then that dude. And then this guy needs to go on upside down, and that pin. Hopefully nothing falls apart. Everything should snap together at this point. He says, hopefully. I think that we are together. All right. So we do not want this to come apart at this point, because then we're going to lose. I'm starting to whisper now. We're going to lose. Oh, and now I need to switch over. So this is the part that's going to really annoy me. So instead of black hardware, the only option I got was this silver for the pivots, and the old pivot screws will no longer work. And the old pivots were T10, and these are T10 as well. So it's T10 for the pivots, and then I believe it's like T6 for the standoffs, which is honestly kind of annoying. If this doesn't go together, I'm going to be so furious. And for some reason, the thread is not catching on the pivot.
right now. Oh, there, it caught, but just barely. There's no room for play on that. Should I guess I'm gonna need to put, if it's really just that little bit of thread there, I think what I'm gonna want to do is put some Loctite on that pivot, if it's only caught a couple of threads, which is weird because this is what he did. This is what Metonboss guy, Sean, I believe it is. Oh, there we go. I think the pivot is just, oh, the pivot was just pushed through the other side so much. All right, so no, it's, yeah. So I just need to keep going with this, dude. And what I'm doing is I'm sucking the pivot down in because the pivot was so far pushed through the other side. So we're okay. I'm not going to use Loctite. I've gotten away from using Loctite as I've gotten more experience with it. Don't think it's necessary 99% of the time. And when it is necessary, I use it. But I'm not like, I don't think it's a placebo. I don't think it's a use it all the time type thing. I think it's a, oh my gosh, this keeps getting loose on me. I think I should go ahead and be a little bit more careful with how I use it thing. All right, so yes, I do find. All right, let's see if it's working. All right, so the detemp ball and that spring is properly installed. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to open it so nicely. Let's take a look at how it looks. Except for that silver pivot, it looks gorgeous. I'm going to be looking on the lookout for T10 pivot screws that are blacked out. If anyone knows where I can pick them up, I bet Lynch Clip has something like that that would work. Maybe Metonboss does too, but I did not see them. I really like these scales. I really do. So I will eventually do a review of these scales. But wow, God, it's taking me like literally. I placed the order for these scales to do this as a project. I placed that order in like the beginning of December, and now it is the middle of March, and I am just finally getting this all together with the shipping fiasco, the wrong part said to be fiasco. Um, that's just, yeah. And then the wrong scale said to me, just so much stuff going wrong. It's cursed, I tell you. And I am just super proud that I was able to get that smock, and also just the smock itself being such a hard, with that bearing and that spring in there. It's just needlessly complicated. Why did they engineer that way? There's no other compression made easy knife CME compression lock that is engineered in that way with that spring. I've taken apart a lot of Spydercos and a lot of Spydercos with compression locks, and I do not. I don't get why that would be a thing. All right, come on, dude. Sometimes, like, I tightened up all three of them. I tightened up two of them before I got the third one started, and that sometimes can mean that you're misaligned, and that's not good. All right, I don't like that bit. Is this a better bit? That's a better bit. iFixit bits are not as good as the Weehaw ones, and I don't want to strip it, so I want to use a nicer bit. So I'm feeling a little resistance there, and I don't like resistance. There we go. All right, now I've got 3 on there, and the 4th on there. All right, and then we got to get these guys on here. And again, Lynch Clip sent these with T6s, but with white T6s. If I'm getting a blacked out clip with a hidden clip, why would I want silver? I would want black, right? Hardware. Doesn't that make sense? It makes sense to me. But me and you are the only two people who are ever going to notice that hardware is silver and not black. but with the black liners here and everything. And then you've got that nice black dot clip, right? Why would you want silver hardware there? I don't know. But, oof. Yeah, other than that pivot not being black, action is great. Smock is a great knife. That looks pretty darn dope, don't you think? Yep. I do like it. So let me know if I can get some new pivot screws. I'm going to be on the lookout now for new pivot screws just because that really annoys me. But I do think that this looks a lot better than that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. So as I've said before, hey, this video is so long already. Why not make it longer? Like, this was a custom guide that I did with the Lotus scales. This is the S90V Paramilitary 2. Another Lynch clip here. I've got more Lotus scales, but this is for the Shaman. And then I've got this Manix 2, which I customized, and I did the anodizing myself. So, you know, I've always thought of these guys, these Spydercos, as knives that are really fun to customize, right? Even my Indela, I've put these custom scales on here. This was a lightweight Indela, and I found a guy in Ukraine who makes this very nice micarta for them on Etsy, if you're looking for those. I got these. I think this is GRT spider scales. Very nice here. This is my Indela. I always get them confused. But yeah, you see how the spider sits inside the spider web. Very fun there. And the only Spyderco I have not customized, because it's perfect the way it is my Way of Knife edition Spidey Chef, designed by Sleesh. Oh, yeah, great knife. All right, so there you go, guys. Another customization finally done. That one took an obscenely long time to do, but, you know, was it worth it? You tell me. I will see you guys next time on Sharp Ends. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. It really helps the channel. If you want to get a chance to win a Knife of the Month for $3 a month, you can become a Patreon supporter, and you'll be entered to win a knife for free every month. You don't have to do anything. Just sit back, watch my content, and win a knife. I will see you guys next time on Sharp Ends. Later now. Bye-bye. Here at the end, if you don't know, I usually make a no one ever watches to the end, right? So what I do is I usually set up a little shot here at the end that I use a screen grab for, and then I use that screen grab for my picture at the end. You know what I mean? Or my thumbnail for the video. All right. How long was that? God, that was a long video. Whew, almost 30 minutes. All right, good night, people. See you next time on Sharp Ends. Bye-bye now.